So I wanted to talk today about if you're not accomplishing your goals as fast as you want, there's a reason why. And not only let's talk about how we got here, but what are we going to do to fix it? This is why it matters. When we look at our day-to-day experience through the lens of frustration, look at what is going on. This is an EEG and a heart rate monitor that is telling us what's happening to your brain and your body under the influence of frustration. Look at how choppy and irregular all of this is. And so you're still experiencing the day-to-day problems, challenges, frustrations that are going on, but your brain is now firing in this very irregular, unhelpful way. Makes it much harder to find a solution when your brain is sort of all over the place and your physiology is reacting in this big way. This is something we talk about a lot in the mindset cycle. Thatch actually created this. And it's this idea, this is happening in your life all the time, whether you like it or not, whether you know it or not. This mindset cycle is happening. Your mindset is fueling the outcomes that you're getting. And it's based on 5 components. So let's talk about each of the 5 components first, and we'll talk about how they all go together. Manifestation, another way to say that is results. This is what are the results that you're manifesting? What are the outcomes that you're getting? Another component of this is focus, meaning of all the things that I have to see, am I focusing on the frustrating things or am I focusing on the things to appreciate? So what is the lens or the filter, the focus that I'm choosing to see and experience my life? That focus creates our thoughts. Because if I'm looking at this and Matt's looking at that and we're seeing it from 2 different lenses, our thoughts are going to be entirely different. The thoughts create the emotion. Am I feeling frustrated? Am I feeling excited? Am I feeling sad? Am I feeling elated? The thoughts create the emotions. The emotions are one of the highest determining factors when it comes to what action we're going to take. We're feeling certain and optimistic, we're taking some great action. You're feeling frustrated and deflated, we're not taking the same sort of decisive action. But the emotion and the action together go to create the outcomes that we get. So this all feeds in on itself. However, most of the time, we are not paying attention to these things until the things that we can identify most easily are our emotions. How am I feeling? I'm feeling frustrated. Am I feeling irritated about that person? Do I think things should be different? Am I feeling doubtful? Am I feeling all of the negative, the worry, the doubt, the concern? We notice this is happening when we register the emotion of it because it's very obvious. Or we notice it the most and when we get to the manifestation or the results section, because we'll see like, I don't like what I'm getting. And we notice this whether it's based on the outcomes we get or how we feel. That's when we tend to be aware of it. But we're not taking into account the other stuff that's going on in the background. The best thing to understand about this process is that we want to intervene where we have the most ability to have impact or control over the situation. By the time you've got an emotion coming up for you, you're already there. It's really hard to U-turn frustration or doubt or worry or concern. That's really hard to do. By the time you've got an outcome and you miss the opportunity or you're not getting the deals that you want, that's already done. But we fixate on these places where we have no control. The trick is to go back one. So if you're feeling frustrated, you're feeling irritated, don't fixate on the emotion. You can't control that anymore. It's already there. Go back one and say, hold on. The only reason I'm feeling this way is because of what I was just thinking about. What was I just thinking about? It's probably not going to work out. Nothing ever works out for me. I'm not good enough to do this anyway. Why do I think I have any business being here? The deals never work out. People can't be trusted. I hate people. Whatever all those thoughts are, that's what created the emotion. So bad news that you've already been in this cycle over and over and over and over and over again. You've repeated that process enough that you've created a default program in your head. That's just how the way you've been able to get as far as you have in life is because you figured out how to do some stuff on an autopilot kind of way. It's fine. But that means that you have some default thoughts that lead to some familiar feelings that create habitual action. And if you're not getting the results you want, it's because your thoughts are creating and setting the stage for unhelpful emotions and unproductive habits that are causing you to not get the outcomes you want. But you cannot create a new reality with these old thoughts. But now that you know they're there, the good news is you can do something about it, because just like you built these old default patterns, the brain is incredibly pliable. It's beautifully plastic. We can rearrange and reorganize it by repeating over and over a new pattern. You can create a new default setting. So let's talk about what to do. First, awareness. Now you know. You know what to listen for. You know, like, oh, when I hear myself say, I'll do it later, when I hear myself say Monday, when I hear myself say, I don't have enough time, I don't have enough money, it's easy for them, whatever all the things are, that's your clue to know that it's some old default thinking that probably got set up in an old time when it made sense. Maybe to get through 8th grade, you had to figure out how to get people to like you. Guess what? Yeah, 8th grade is hard. We pack these habits and these thoughts with us as we move along through life, but we don't always stop to go through our backpack and go, do I still need this? Is this still serving me? Is there another, have I learned more since then? Is there another way that I could think about this? But when we don't even have the awareness to listen for these saboteurs, we just let them run, and we let them keep us playing small. And it's no good because it's no fun. So first, awareness. Awareness is true story. Once you're aware of it, you're about 88% of the way home. Because if you have no awareness, you can do nothing about it. But now that you know, you can do something. So first, awareness. Listen for those most 4 common thoughts that you wrote down. Listen for them now. When that tape plays in your head, that is not you. That is an older tape that just got set up a long time ago that we've just let play. So now I know some of you might be too young to remember the idea of stopping a tape or stopping a CD, but think of it like you're the player on something that's streaming. You can hit pause. You can hit stop. When you listen for them, notice, pay attention, go, oh man, you almost got me. I heard you this time though. I heard you. And stop. Just listen, go, no, 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 thank you. No, no, not today. No, no. Then once you have awareness and you push pause on that tape, step 2 is ask better questions. Most of the time, the questions that we're asking ourselves that are the default, what's wrong with me? Why doesn't anything ever work out? Why does it always have to be that I'm the unlucky one? We ask these questions that are super unhelpful. I love this quote from Tony Robbins. He says, the quality of your life is directly related to the quality of your questions. This is true when you're talking to other people, asking discovery questions that help you build great rapport with sellers, that help you to find the right partners and connections, to find good referral partners. All those things is creating connection is directly related to the quality of your questions. But very rarely do we turn that on our conversation with ourselves. Your brain, the brain cannot ignore a question. Brain can't ignore a question, can't do it. So let's ask better questions. If you're asking questions, what's wrong with me? Why doesn't it ever work out? The brain will be like, oh, what's wrong with you is you're not smart enough. You don't have enough money. It will answer that question based upon your old tape. Or we can ask better questions. So if we know that the default is set toward problem saturated and being fear and doubt focused, it will answer whatever you ask. So instead, switch to solution focused, strength based questions. What have I done before that had what hard things have I done before? What lessons did I learn from how this went this time? If I were to ask my friend what it is that I'm good at, what would they say? Maybe you achieve something. How was I able to do that? Because sometimes even when we hit the goal, we'll be like, well, that was lucky. That was probably a fluke. And we talk ourselves out of the success. Instead, let's talk about how was I able to do that? What was the takeaways I had? What will I do next time? How do I maintain this momentum? What tells me that it's going to work out? What is going to be the smallest indicator that I can see that things are turning around that will tell me that I'm off to the races? Who will be the first to notice that I'm having a better time of it? Whatever those things are, ask to solution focused, strength based questions. Ask better questions. Step 3, shift your focus. So the question becomes, why would you pick a negative slant on that? This is the filter. When we talked about the focus that you can choose, you get to pick which reality you're going to focus on. And the reality you focus on is the one that's going to expand. So what's your focus? Do you focus on how far you've come? Wow, look at how far. I was talking to somebody yesterday, Springboarder, where he was like, I sometimes forget that 15 years ago, I was a homeless drug addict living in a cardboard box. Actually, that was where I lived. Today, I've got a wife and a kid and a couple properties, and I'm not even thinking about if I can go out to go out to dinner or not. And yet the frustration was, when's my deal coming? And we can look at, are we focusing on how far you've come? Look at what you've already achieved and attained and overcome. Or is the focus on how far you have to go? Because if you choose focus on how far you've come, think about the thoughts that come from that. Wow, look how far I've come. And if I've done that, what else could I do? Anything is really possible. If I've come this far. Or if we're focused on, man, I've got so far to go before I get all the properties that I want to get, before I find the deals I want, before I can finally quit this job. And it's so far off in the distance. And when's the next one coming? The thoughts are completely different. The feelings are completely different. This is where the mindset cycle starts to take effect. Are you focused on what you do have or what you don't have? You focused on, I don't have enough money. Are you focused on the money that you do have at all? You wouldn't be on this call if you did not have some money. Are you focused on on the time you have or the time you don't have? On the joy you have or the joy you don't have? We can pick, both are true. Which truth are you going to focus on? You can create your own reality independent of the situation or circumstance when you take abundant responsibility for the focus that you choose. You can create whatever life you want when you choose your focus and take responsibility for that. 4th is to write it down. The power of writing down your goals. I cannot say this enough. This is what's really, really important. Less than 2% of people actually write down what they want. That's a surprise. That was a surprise to me because I know so many people who write things down, which probably means we're in the stratosphere of people who achieve stuff. So, but when's the last time you wrote down what you really want? Not what you think you can get, but what you really want. Your goals, your intentions, the outcomes, why you want it, what you actually want. When you write it down, you have an 80% chance of reaching that goal. And when you write it down consistently, it makes that unconscious become conscious, and it then creates your default setting to the things that you want. And it tells the brain you mean it. Write down not only what you want, but write down 10 extremely random ways it could happen, including other people's success. If they did it, you can too. It shows you what's possible. I don't want your brain will go, but they have this and they have that and no, that's that old tape. Be unreasonable about the ways it could happen. I could run into somebody at Costco and they could say, hey, do you ever have by chance buy any real estate? That can happen. Be unreasonable. Write down 10 ways it could happen. Write it down, write it down, write it down. The last thing, this is the supercharger. And I'm going to tell you right now, almost nobody here is going to do it. But if you really knew how important this was, it would be the only thing you did. But the thing is, if you then think about, okay, if here's the thing I really want, then ask yourself, how would that feel? Put yourself in that reality. How would that feel? I'd feel relieved. I'd feel free. I'd feel joyful, feel happy, feel prosperous, feel just abundant. When then you think about what are the things that are already present in your life right now that make you feel that way? I feel free when I drive fast in my car. I love driving fast in my car. And I can always feel free, right? So when do you feel abundant? When do you feel appreciation? If you think you're waiting like, oh man, I'm going to be so happy when I get my next deal. How about look upon the face of your child while they're sleeping? Find the appreciation and the joy and the happiness of that. That when you can focus on things that are already present, Do not delay your good feeling for the outcome. That puts life in charge of your joy. No, you claim your joy. You claim your appreciation. You claim your freedom. You claim all of your abundance now. Find any excuse to increase the percentage of your thoughts that are focused on the things that make you feel awesome. And you will be shocked at the speed with which your results show up.
Thanks for listening to the DealMachine Real Estate Investing Podcast. Please leave us a review and follow along wherever you're listening to your podcast.